Hello. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Today is Wednesday, December 27th, 2023, and the Lions are the champions of the NFC North. With me to my right is, as always, the bearded one, the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
To my immediate right, we have the one, the only Santa Claus. Just kidding. We have Sam. Can you cut to Sam, Bruce?
Oh, wait. I just cut to his actual name. Yeah, there he is.
There he is. Where are you?
Hello. Florida.
Is
Your
this
lips aren't moving.
Is this your New Year's trip? Are you doing the Miami thing afterward?
No, I've retired from Miami.
Are you going
Had enough
to
of Miami.
that first things first? That's smart. That's one of the smartest things you've ever said.
Yeah.
Number one. Number
Yeah,
two.
that needed to be done.
Are you back in time for football this weekend or?
No, I'm going to have to beat you from 1,200 miles away, unfortunately.
Well, good luck. You're going to need it. To the left of me is the person on the ones and twos that I actually beat last week.
Yeah, by a little bit.
It's Bruce the Tugboat Venditti.
What's going on?
You mean gaped? You gaped him last week?
I wouldn't call it gaped. But
Not gaped at all. It was like 10-point difference, and you won by like 2 points. So
I don't think I won by 2 points.
no, he won by 2 points.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't see how that stat correction didn't come through, did it?
No, the stat corrections come out overnight. They apply Thursday
Oh,
morning.
they do?
Yeah.
Huh.
But I think you...
Yeah, no, stat corrections will be tomorrow.
Do you have Roquan Smith?
I do.
You actually got a plus. He got credited for a solo tackle, so you actually got a +1. I was reading because I was going to make some moves today.
So that puts him as a 1-point winner.
No, it's going to be 3 points. So, Bruce, 3 points, not 2, 3.
Well, you need to hope
All right.
nothing happens on the counter end. Is how it works. Like you need to hope that it's twofold. You need to hope you don't lose any points, and you need to hope that Jack doesn't gain any
lose
points.
this thing on 3 points, Jack will never hear. We'll never hear the end of this.
Listen, the stat correction gods have taken enough for me in my tenure. I deserve this trip to the champ. After all of the shit that has gone on this year in this league, me and Zolo both deserve this trip to the championship.
Yeah, we've taken a lot of shit for our trades. We've taken a lot of shit for some of the moves. I mean, early on, there was a motion to kick me out of the league. Yet here I am.
It was a coup.
I don't know. I'm not on the cool iPhone fucking chat
No,
line.
I'm not in the chat where people got messed up. They don't complain about your transactions to your face. They don't do it over text. They have a side chat where they complain about the transactions.
Yeah, that's how this league works.
yeah,
It's
you know
all
what we
a
like to
side
call
chat.
that? Weasels. We like to call them weasels.
Well, all we could do is just bop the weasels over
Or
the head.
the U.S. school.
All right, let's go. Let's get into this. What are we doing?
What do you want to do? You're in control.
Should we recap?
We've got a lot to do today. We have to recap in the entire weekend of games. Then we have, we had games Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we need to recap all of those. Then we have a Thursday night game tomorrow night that we need to preview. Obviously, we have to discuss the Lions winning the fucking NFC North for the first time in all of our lifetimes besides Uncle Sam's. And then, at some point between today and Friday, we need to preview the college football playoff at least a little bit.
So hold on. We'll do Friday. Friday, so it's fresh. It makes the most sense.
Yes.
And then on top of that, what we'll do is we'll try and keep our picks. And then the playoff machine was fixed, by the way, over the weekend. That was a big problem for everybody. Was that the playoff machine wasn't working? Everyone bitched about it nationwide. Playoff machine is fixed. So we'll pick week 17. We'll do it pretty quick. We'll do it as quick as we can. No ad libs. And then we'll pick week 18 in the playoff machine. We'll go through that, and then we'll follow that with college football playoff. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds perfect to me. I love it. At some point today, though, we need to discuss right now who our personal favorites are for MVP. Because me and Uncle Sam started this conversation already today, and I'm I already know that I disagree with him.
Whatever.
I have a very fun take on this conversation, and I'm excited to see what you guys have to say because I think you're both going to be right. Do we want to talk about that now, or do we want to go over the games
Why
first
don't we
as a
recap
precursor?
Saturday's games?
Let's go.
I say let's do a full recap. There was some news today, so let's do the news real quick. I have like 3 things that we need to touch on news wise, and we'll go straight into Saturday.
Back to you. Whoa.
Sorry. Okay, first piece of news today. Obviously, you probably live under a rock if you haven't heard. The Broncos are benching Russell Wilson for the rest of the year due to the fact that they have a 6% chance of making the playoffs. And he is guaranteed $37.5 million in 2025. The only way that kicks in is if he gets injured, right? They can essentially move on from him after this season as long as he does not get hurt, pretty much free and clear. So with this move, starting Jarrett Stidham this weekend and benching Russell Wilson, it looks like Sean Payton's decided they're going to move on from Russ after this year and save the team a boatload of money going forward to do so. And there's going to most likely be a new quarterback in Denver next year. Essentially, that 6% chance of them making the playoffs, they don't control their own destiny really anyways. So Russ out in Denver, Broncos packing it in for the year, Jarrett Stidham the next 2 games, and essentially they save themselves $40 million going into next year if they move on from Russ. So it looks
Basically looks like what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, they were already the talking heads were already going on today about how perfect of a fit Russ would be for the Commanders going forward if they're not sold on Sam Howell. And actually, I loved that. That made a ton of sense to me. I mean, you got a new ownership group there who would probably fall in love with him. It would be great for their fan base to get somebody like that there because they haven't had anybody worth a shit in so long. But the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson thing was never really made a whole lot of sense. It was never meant to be in my eyes. So I think this was the right decision for everybody involved because, yeah, has Russ had stretches where he looked like he did in Seattle? Yeah, but it's not 100% of the time. And I don't think that's what they need right now. They're going to have to slow burn this and draft a quarterback and do it the way that Sean Payton wants to. But I wanted to ask you guys, is there anywhere that you guys could see Russ going and being a good fit? The 2 that I've heard the most today were Washington and Tennessee. But I think there was another option that jumped out to me. I want to see if you guys think the same thing.
Is it the Falcons?
Hit it right on the head.
Yeah, the Falcons makes the most sense for me. I think he's exactly what that team needs. I think you give Russ a shot to it. So in all likelihood, they're trading him. They're going to move on from him based on this whole cap situation because they wouldn't be benching him. So I think you fire Arthur Smith and you give Russ a shot to have a say in the coach, see if there's someone that stands out with him instead of bringing in Hackett and then that doesn't work out, bringing in Sean Payton and then you got too many egos. I think you need someone. Russ is the perfect quarterback for all those young guys in Atlanta to bring them along, to string them along.
Yeah, and so more information's been coming out about this Russ thing over the last hour. I guess they've been Broncos upper brass has been talking to him about waiving the injury waivers and restructuring and trying to get the guarantees to go away for the last couple of months. And essentially the team gave him an ultimatum after the Broncos beat the Chiefs. Monday morning, essentially they told him they were going to bench him the rest of the year if he did not defer his injury guarantees for 2025. I guess Russ's agent and himself were both shocked by it because they never expected this to not be a long-term thing. And essentially, no headway was made. There's a big dispute between Russ's people and the Broncos. And essentially, it came to a head with both of them saying now that they're just going to part ways. But shocking to me that when the Broncos got hot and beat the Chiefs and had a playoff push, that's when they decided to go to Russ's people and say, hey, you need to do this, and that. That to me,
the timing seems a little fucked up.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you have a quarterback who's hot as Russ was, and you're making a playoff push, you'd think you wouldn't want to create that kind of noise. And maybe that's part of the reason why they've lost 3 of the last 4 and have looked like dog shit again. But I'm shocked at the timing of it. But I 100% get where Russ is coming from, because I would do the exact same thing. At that point, Russ was the talk of the town. He was the hottest guy in the league, and you go to him at that point and ask him to essentially give up his money. I would probably tell them to go fuck themselves right along with it.
It just goes to show you that nothing is promised in this league, and Russ knows that, especially as an older player who played really well this year for the most part. And it's not really his fault the team didn't come on in the early days. It was just everything was new. Everything was fresh. They traded away some guys. But it goes to show you that's it.
Business.
It's a business
Fucking
at the end of the day.
dude.
Quarterback had a good year. He signed up for everything he signed up for last year, and it just hasn't gone according to plan with a good organization, too. I mean, the Broncos are a pretty well-run organization. I think John Elway, for the most part, the last couple years, not so much, ever the post-Peyton Manning era, but for the most part, John Elway's built some pretty good teams there, and he got this one wrong. It is what it is. Yeah, I hope Russ lands on his feet, because I definitely liked what I saw out of him this year.
A couple other pieces of news. Vikings tight end TJ Hawkinson is out for the year with an ACL and MCL tear.
Whoops.
Amari Cooper is listed as doubtful for Thursday night's game due to a heel injury after his monster week last week. So that would be a huge hit for the Browns if he's not there, especially with Flacco still at the helm. And one other thing that I found really fucking funny. So Packers played the Panthers this weekend in Charlotte, and star cornerback Jair Alexander is a Charlotte native. He was not named one of the captains for the game, but went out to call the coin toss himself anyway. Supposedly he jumbled his words after they had won the toss about whether or not they wanted to play defense or they were deferring or whatever. There was some sort of a misunderstanding. And now the Packers have suspended Jair Alexander for essentially making himself a captain, running out there and picking the coin toss without being told to do so.
Oh, shit. What do you think of that?
I mean, who gives a shit?
He's the
Stupid.
next off the rails
Typical
ego.
Stupid.
He's the next off the rails idiot. Didn't something happen with the coin toss though? Like he almost blew a decision or something like that?
Yeah, so he said we want to see the defense was his response to winning the toss. And the referees didn't know how to interpret we want to see the defense as if, oh, we're deferring and we want our defense to go out there, or oh, we want to see Carolina's defense. So they didn't know what we want to see the defense meant when he was just supposed to accept or defer, essentially. And I guess it created confusion, and they had to talk to LaFleur about it and figure out what the Packers actually wanted to do after winning the toss.
Yeah, I mean, not every ref is fluent in Ebonics, so it is what it is.
Wow.
Also, NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Any guesses on who that was?
I have a guess, but I already know who it is.
I already know.
Uncle Sam?
Nope.
It's Sean Stelato's first best client now since Tommy DeVito got benched. Ifeatu Melifonwu of your Detroit Lions, who's having a monster. It's not just this week. He was outstanding last week against Denver.
Last 3 weeks.
It's about 3 weeks of some pretty good play ever since they switched him out with Tracy Walker. So.
And speaking of Tommy DeVito, Giants coach Brian Daboll came out today and said that Tyrod Taylor would be the starting quarterback going forward. And unfortunately, the Tommy DeVito era is over.
Thank God that dumpster fire's gone. Thank fucking God.
It's just clear. It was clear when he went down earlier in the year that Tyrod's more effective at running that team than Daniel Jones is. Talk about a landing spot for Russ. If he can get along with Brian Dable's ego, I don't even think Brian Dable has an ego. Everyone loves to play for him. He's a great coach. But if Russ could keep his ego in check, I think the Giants would be a great spot for him because there's some pieces to work with there.
The Raiders.
And he's mobile enough to withstand not having an offensive line, even though they'll probably draft a tackle. But you bring him in and see if you can get him on a deal in order to bridge Daniel Jones's shitty contract and see if you can get something in Russ. I think that'd be a great spot for him.
And with that being said, we need to get into talking about these great games from over the weekend. So let's go there.
Back to you.
All right, first up, we need to start out with Saturday, obviously, right? Yeah, we do. The Cincinnati Bengals had a divisional game with the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Bengals needed to win this game. They needed a big win here to keep their playoff hopes alive, to stay in stride essentially with the surging Bills and even in their own division. Cleveland now looks like they're just going to keep on rolling. So Cincinnati headed to Pittsburgh for a divisional game and ended up coming out short by quite a lot. Pittsburgh beats up on Cincinnati 34-11. Uncle Sam, I want your thoughts on this game first because you and me both thought this would be the Joe Mixon show. He was 11 for 43 in this game. Jake Browning, 3 picks, QBR of 69. Mason Rudolph, QBR of 124. He was 17 for 27, 290 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Najee, decent little game, 4 yards per carry on 19 for 78 and a touchdown. George Pickens was the biggest beneficiary of this. 4 for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. After he's had nothing but controversy going around him, he comes out and shows that maybe he truly is one of the better receivers in this league.
Well, I think their defense showed up. Their defense showed up, and the offense, that was, 2 touchdowns by Rudolph. Who expected that? I personally had Cincinnati in this game. I did not think Pittsburgh would be able to move them going forward, and their defense was fucking stifling. It didn't look like the same team that lost to them earlier. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's what happens when you get these divisional games, man. You can't really count a team out till it's over.
Divisional game.
It certainly seemed like this was the swan song for Jake Browning. There was a second there where it felt like they were pushing in the second half. He put on a show with Higgins, and then George Pickens just came on the other side and did his magic within 3 plays. He was good, and good for him for showing that he could be a guy in this league. But also, you got to give that effort every week if you want to be the guy. So you could be a guy or you could be the guy. And I think he's trending in the right direction. I still think they're a team that really could desperately use a quarterback. But good for Mason Rudolph. He watched 2 guys in front of him not play well, and he came in and
saying that
and
Rudolph
did well
for this weekend.
Yep.
That he could possibly.
No. Pickett is back.
Pickett
and Rudolph is still going to start. Rudolph is still going to start over Pickett.
I'm glad he decided that.
It's the right decision. I think it's the right decision.
Next up, the Buffalo Bills headed to SoFi Stadium to play the Los Angeles Chargers. A very familiar name and a name that just makes me happy popped up on the stat sheet for the Bills, and that was playoff lineman Leonard Fournette. As the Bills make a push for the playoffs, Fournette was he had 5 carries in this game for 20 yards, but that's not the story here. The Bills pulled this game out 24-22 after being, I believe, 13.5-point favorites going into this one. The Chargers made it very, very interesting in this game. Easton Stick, 23 for 33, 215 yards. Austin Eckler just continues to be lackluster at best. One of his best games in a while, though, 15 for 65. Easton Stick did have a touchdown on the ground. Josh Palmer, 8 for 47. I don't really know how the Chargers kept up in this game. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. Josh Allen was 15 for 21, 273 yards, a touchdown and a pick in this one. James Cook, 20 for 70. Gabe Davis, 4 receptions on 130 yards and a touchdown. This was the first game we've seen in like the last month where the Bills looked very beatable, in my opinion. I don't know if they just played down to their opponent because I really didn't see anything out of the Chargers that blew me away. But Buffalo now, with that win, I mean, they're right up in the mix of things. Obviously, it looks like that's going to be Miami's division, but they are right up in the mix.
I don't know if that Buffalo team that we saw Saturday is capable of beating that. I'm jumping ahead, but is capable of beating that Miami team that, for the most part, played okay on Sunday. I don't know if the Bills are ready for it. They've been good over the last month. I'll give it to them. They've been really good. I've been really high on the Bills, but you cannot play that way against a bad team. I know it's the road.
Yeah, they got lucky they pulled that game.
They got
off.
lucky.
They did.
They got lucky.
Very lucky.
You can't play that way if you expect to. And it's looking good because a lot of the teams in front of them are dropping like flies. The Colts, the Bengals, who else is dropping? The Broncos. A lot of teams are dropping some games here. So it's looking really good for the Bills. And obviously they have another cakewalk this week, but I don't know if you're beating Miami. That's my thing. I don't know if you're beating Miami at this point, and it's a matter of do you draw well enough to where you can make a little bit of the run on the around the back end. The Bills this week have the Patriots.
It's the Patriots Super Bowl right here.
I already know who Uncle Sam.
You know who I'm going with.
Honestly, the Patriots defense, again, jumping ahead, we'll get there, but their defense has been playing outstanding.
Yes.
And if that's your Bills team that showed up on Saturday,
they're going to get punched in the mouth.
They're going to get punched in the mouth. And they've already lost the Patriots.
Divisional game.
One more time for us.
Divisional game. Hello.
And one more time for us. One more time.
Hello.
I thought you were going to say divisional game again.
Talking to the guy in Florida. Hello.
We're ready for another game.
I mean, what are we talking about here? What are you helloing me for?
I'm saying hello, asshole.
Hello.
Oh, hello. How are you? You having a good day?
What the fuck? It's a divisional game.
What's a divisional game?
Next week. Patriots and fucking Bills.
Listen to me. We need to get through this before you make another dumb pick, okay?
3 different people that are all very familiar with Sal's ways. Junior, the Patriots. Omar, the Patriots. Leon, the Patriots. They all just commented the Patriots at the same time. Probably queued up from when you said, we all know who he's going to pick.
The Patriots.
Go ahead.
Next up, in a game that Uncle Sam just looks like Albert Einstein in, the Cleveland Browns headed down to Houston to play the Texans. Cleveland comes out on top in this one, 36-22. Joe Flacco, 27 for 42, 368 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
That's big slinger Joe Flacco.
The two of us have a question for you over here.
Sure.
You know what it is?
No, I don't think they're legit yet.
You're still not going to buy in on Joe Flacco at this point?
I'm not buying in on Joe Flacco still. Can't do it.
This was the game, not that I wasn't like completely sold on him, but this is the game where I'm like, all right, they're capable of doing some damage.
They're very dangerous.
They're capable of doing some damage because he set the tone early. I mean, Amari Cooper helped, but he set the tone early in this one. And they just wiped. It was a road game, and they just wiped the floor with them.
Over before the half.
Over before the half. And then he still decided to get David Njoku involved. Go ahead. Give me the stats.
Amari Cooper was a huge help. He had 11 receptions for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Njoku, 6 for 44. They didn't run the ball, so that didn't really matter. Davis Mills and Case Keenum both suck. Case Keenum just sucked worse than Davis Mills. Devin Singletary actually had more than 3 yards per carry. Dalton Schultz had 61 yards, and Nico Collins got a lucky touchdown. It was a very bad. It was a very poor performance from Houston. Okay, period, point blank, end of story. I want the Joe Flacco thing to end so bad.
Oh, you need to stop
because
dude. They're for real.
It's not because now they have the body of work to where they've done it against a few teams. And here's the kicker: every team that they've done it against has been really good defensively at some point this year. I know the Texans are down right now, but the Bears' defense is no joke. And every team they do it against has a good defense, except the Rams. He got into a shootout against the Rams, and he got smoked. Albeit it was his first or second game. But you can't really they're a threat. The first things first, they're a threat because of their defense. They have the defensive MVP in my opinion. So that number one, they're a threat there. Number two, when you factor in that they're still running the ball effectively without Chubb, and he's making Amari Cooper and Njoku more playable than Deshaun Watson ever had them at any point this year.
Amari Cooper had a fucking career day. Hello? Amari Cooper. You know how I feel about Amari Cooper.
Listen,
he's a good receiver.
They play the Jets next week. Uncle Sam, who are you taking?
Wow, he just put you on the spot. It's tomorrow night.
Who's playing?
They play the Jets. Who are you taking?
The Browns. Should we just pick the Thursday night game right now?
I'm torn in this one.
Amari Cooper doubtful.
I'm still taking Cleveland.
Zach Wilson's also doubtful.
I'm going to take Cleveland.
I think the Browns will be mighty, mighty effective even if Amari Cooper doesn't play. I think this is a game where they're going to thrive because their defense will almost never be on the field.
I watched the Jets put 30 on somebody and almost lose.
Yeah.
You think the Jets? You think the Browns defense will be ready for Trevor Seaman?
Yes.
Credit to him for what he did on Sunday, but also the Jets are just notorious for winning games they're not supposed to win. And the other team was tanking a lot harder than they were. They're like, you know what? We're going to pull him. We're going to pull our quarterback. And then the next thing you know, you got Jacoby Brissett starting in place for Sam Howell. But, I do think the Browns defense is going to be prepared for Trevor Siemian. 100%.
Cleveland's a 7.5-point favorite.
I think the Jets could cover that, but there's a world where Cleveland whomps the fuck out of them.
Over-under's 34.5.
I'm going to take the over in this. I'm going to take Cleveland in the over.
I'm going to take the Jets to cover, win in the under.
I'm going to take Cleveland to win, the Jets to cover, and I'm going to go with the under.
Okay, moving on. The Packers headed to Carolina to play the Panthers. Packers playoff hopes still alive at 7-8. They win this game in a nail biter, 33-30.
We want to see
this game. Game should not have been as close as it was. It was pretty gross. Jordan Love, 17 for 28, 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 21 for 127. That is 6 yards per carry. Jordan Love also had a touchdown on the ground, as did A.J. Dillon. Romeo Doubs, 4 for 79 and a touchdown. Deontay Wicks had the other touchdown reception. As far as the Panthers go, Bryce Young was 23 for 36, 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe that was his career high in passing yardage so far. Chuba Hubbard, 16 for 43 and a touchdown. DJ Chark had 98 yards. Thielen had 94. Chark also had 2 tuds. Nice little game from the Panthers there. Packers defense is dog shit.
It was Bryce Young's best game by far, and he looked the part too. He actually, it wasn't just stats. Like his balls were nice. His
balls were nice.
His balls were.
He's got nice balls.
They were voluptuous and nice and juicy. Every one of them. His deep balls, Chark, looked great. It's big for Bryce Young when he doesn't need to overly rely on Thielen and he's able to get more people involved. And I think that showed very
That's
nicely
progression.
for them. That's progression.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that
Starting
is.
to do pretty well.
And that's what this point of the season is for them. It's we don't have a first round pick. It goes to Chicago. So how well can we develop Bryce Young in the next month is what it is. So in this case, the next 2 weeks, and he's strung together a few nice games now. Again, people were saying the same shit about Tua. I truly believe I've seen Bryce Young. I've seen him play really big, good games against good opponents. I truly believe it's a product of the organization right now, but he's going to be a fine piece for whoever comes and takes over there. I'm not worried about him at all. I'm not worried that he's behind Stroud or whoever. I'm excited for his future. It's just a long way away. I don't even think next year is going to be the year. I think you're going to start seeing good signs from Bryce Young in year 3, but this was nice. This was good for him.
What do we think of the Packers, though? Because realistically, I thought their defense was like pure, utter, petrified dog shit.
Yeah, they're calling for Joe Barry, their D coordinator's head. They've been doing they've actually been doing it for a while, but what's crazy is they got some really good pieces on defense. And
young guys that can play. And
they didn't look good. They're not looking good. That's a few weeks. They haven't looked good since that Lions game. And
give me Green Bay. Give me Green Bay in Detroit in the first round of the playoffs. That would be real.
100%. 100%. Again, that was a one-score game against the Lions, and it was arguably probably their second worst game all year. They turned the ball over 4 times, including twice in the red zone. That's a completely different game against that team.
Next up, the Washington Commanders headed to MetLife Stadium to play the New York Jets. Obviously, Zach Wilson went down in this game.
I thought we all took Washington, didn't we?
I think I
took
did.
the Jets.
Who?
Sam.
Oh, you took the Jets?
I took the goddamn Jets, baby.
Okay.
I took the goddamn Jets. And they also 2 quarterback changes in this game. Obviously, when Trevor Siemian was the starter for the Jets due to Zach Wilson's injury, but they pulled Sam Howell and threw Jacoby Brissett in there after Howell had 2 picks. Brissett was 10 for 13 for 100 yards and a touchdown. Chris Rodriguez Jr., 10 for 58 and 2 touchdowns. Antonio Gibson had a rushing touchdown as well. Terry McLaurin, 3 receptions, 50 yards. Logan Thomas, 5 for 36 and a touchdown. That was the Commanders' offense. Trevor Seaman threw the ball 50 fucking times. He was 27 for 49, 217 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Breece Hall, 20 for 95 and 2 touchdowns. He also led the team in receiving with 96 yards. And the touchdown reception went to Jason Brownlee, who had 1 reception for 8 yards, which was the touchdown. Both these teams are dog shit. Are we ready to
pack it in? As close as what the score put on there. The Jets.
Are we ready to pack it in on Sam Howell or no?
Huh?
Are we ready to pack it in on Sam Howell or no?
No, I want to see him with a competent offensive line, and I want to see him with a head coach that could pull what we've seen earlier this year out of him. There's a chance they take a flyer on a quarterback, but what they really need is an offensive line because that guy's seeing ghosts and he's on his ass half the time. And no quarterback can be effective with that.
Yeah, but Jacoby Brissett's come in, and this is the second time in 2 weeks that he's looked money and put points up for Howell.
But they need more than Jacoby Brissett.
Okay, I was just saying he looks a little broken to me. He looks a little broken. He's not confident.
And he's starting this week, too, by the way, Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, he should. Because at this point, I think Howell's done. Huh?
Yeah, Brissett will be the start of the rest of the way.
I'm not saying done as playing. He's pretty much done for the year.
They need a reset.
Yeah, because you're going to crush this guy's confidence.
So the problem, I agree, he's broken right now.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I disagree on the confidence crushing bit because this guy is young, and he needs all the reps he can get. And that's how you find out truly what you have. But I mean, if it's a lame duck regime that's leading this, it leads to what you have now, and it's not a good time to be a Commanders fan at the moment. You have a lot of changes coming this offseason. But at the same time, the pieces are there. You get the draft capital. There's some weapons on offense between Robinson and Samuel and Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas. There's
I don't
some
think
nice
they
things.
used McLaurin enough this year. They were awful usage of very good receivers. And you got to, that's like you said, the offensive line is fucking utter dog shit. The guy was sacked 75 times this year. Come on, dude.
Yep.
And the year's not even over.
Do we buy into any of this talk that Russ is going to end up in Washington?
I don't love that as a spot for him compared to some of the other spots. It's a fit. It's for sure a fit.
Right.
Don't love it as much as some of the other options he would have, though.
Raiders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. The Buccaneers.
No, the
Wouldn't that
Buccaneers
be
are signing their contract or signing their quarterback to an extension.
Oh, yeah.
Good for them. Fucking dog
Guess
shit.
who's
Anyways,
Desmond Ridder.
next up, the Seattle Seahawks headed down to Tennessee to play the Titans. Seattle had 14 fourth quarter points to win this game, 20-17. Ryan Tannehill got to start for the injured Will Levis. He was 18 for 26 for 152 yards. Derrick Henry threw a ball, threw one of them for 12 yards, and it was a touchdown pass for a QBR of 156 out of Derrick Henry. He also had a touchdown on the ground and 88 yards. That's 4.5 yards per carry. I believe that's one of the highest we've seen from him all year. I can never say this guy's name. The tight end. He had the touchdown reception. He was
Oquanico.
Guantanamo. He was 6 for 6 for 63 yards and a touchdown. In what a lot of people think might be Ryan Tannehill's last start as a Titan. Geno Smith was 25 for 36, 227 yards with 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 16 of 54. DK Metcalf had a touchdown reception. He also had 56 yards. Colby Parkinson had the other tud. And Tyler Lockett led the team in receiving. He was 8 for 81. Seattle did not look good. Tennessee hasn't looked good. It would have been real nice to see Seattle lose this game because it would have put them more towards the pit of despair in the playoff picture. But is anybody still scared of Seattle?
Not at the moment. But the potential's there. Real quick, you know who has the most fourth quarter comebacks this season? It's Geno Smith. And then Drew Lock obviously had one last week as well. So is that your opponent's just shitting the bed or playing well at an opportune
I think they've gotten
time?
lucky, to be honest with you.
There's
I
a
think
luck
they've
element.
gotten lucky where they're at.
There's a luck element for
They should
sure.
have lost that game against Tennessee. They got lucky.
I think from a Lions fan perspective, out of all the teams they could possibly face, I would put them. I wouldn't want to face the Rams, then the Seahawks next. Then I welcome the Vikings or Packers at this point. But I mean, I feel more comfortable about going up against the Seahawks today than I did a month ago. But they're not what they were at the beginning of the year, and I think it starts with quarterback.
Next up, the Indianapolis Colts headed down to Atlanta to take on the Dirty Birds of the ATL. My Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons absolutely mollywopped Gardner Minshew. Taylor Heineke, 23 of 33, 229 yards and a touchdown. Brian Robinson, 12 for 72. Tyler Algier had a touchdown run. Kyle Pitts, 3 receptions, 49 yards and a touchdown. Brian Robinson also had 50 yards receiving as the Falcons go on to throttle the Indianapolis Colts 29-10. Falcons are back.
Oof, back's a strong word, but credit to Heineke. Thought he played a great game. And this bumps the Falcons a notch in my book because I thought they beat a good team for their standards and a hot team, and they didn't shoot themselves in the foot at all. And Heineke played well. Again, second time I've said it, but that's the key, and that's what they've needed is remotely good quarterback play. I still don't think they're going to have enough to make that push, especially the way Tampa's been rolling at the moment. But good for the Falcons, and it's clear that Arthur Blank has a decision to make at this point.
Uncle Sam, do you care to comment on your quarterback Taylor Heineke's performance?
You know, I'm a Heineke guy. I like Heineke. Always did. I think he should have been the starter all year. Just my opinion. Desmond Ritter's dog shit. And without Heineke, they won't win a playoff game without him.
So Atlanta's one game behind Tampa now, with Chicago and New Orleans ahead for Atlanta.
They at Chicago?
I think they are at Chicago, right? Or does Chicago come to them? Yeah, I think they're at Chicago because Chicago goes to Green Bay.
Chicago. Next two games are on the road. So they're at Chicago and then at New Orleans.
That's how they finish the year, on the road?
Yep, and then Tampa has New Orleans at home, and then they're at Carolina.
I actually like Tampa's schedule going forward better than Atlanta.
Tampa's got it locked in for sure.
I think Atlanta's got to go through, you got a divisional game on the road, and then they got to play Chicago on the road, which the weather will probably be shitty.
And isn't Atlanta still behind New Orleans? Aren't they still technically, are they tied or?
Same record. Atlanta owns the tiebreaker at the moment.
At the moment.
It's so again, the Saints beat the Bears, and there's no shot in hell I think that the Bears are gonna choke. The way the Bears defense has been playing, I think they're gonna have no issues with anything the Falcons are doing, especially outdoors in the cold. Like Uncle Sam said, I could be wrong. I just like what the Bears have done defensively.
Worst case scenario, they get run over by Algier and Robinson. And they just can't stop them.
I don't see that the Bears 7 getting run over by Algier and Robinson. The way they've played.
Algier's a monster, dude.
He's a monster, but the way the Bears defensively.
Robinson hasn't had his fuck you game yet either. That's coming. Where this fucking guy will put 200 yards on you.
That's up to his coach, though.
Huh?
His coach hasn't let it come.
Well,
and we know he's capable.
We're not going to go there.
He was drafted top 10 for a reason. We know what Bijan's capable of, and I'm sad we saw flashes. I'm sad we never really saw that Bijan, I'm gonna fucking bend you over type game.
Yeah, because he's very capable of fucking just dominating if he wants to.
Sam, I hate to break it to you. I think that's Tampa's division to lose at this point.
Yeah, I think
they're playing way too well. Their quarterback's in a groove right now.
Yeah, who's better than Baker Mayfield right now?
Oh God, I got a blind resume with Baker Mayfield that you're gonna absolutely hate.
The Jacksonville Jaguars headed down to Raymond James Stadium to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa comes out on top in this one, 30-12. Trevor Lawrence went out injured in this game, 17 for 29, touchdown, 2 picks. It was bad. CJ Beathard came in. He was 11 for 15. He had a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence also had 29 yards on the ground. Travis Etienne couldn't do shit. Evan Ingram had 95 yards, and Calvin Ridley had 2 touchdown catches. As far as the Buccaneers go, Baker Mayfield was 26 for 35 for 283 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rashad White, 20 for 39 and a touchdown on the ground. Mike Evans, 7 for 86 and 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, 6 for 78, as the Buccaneers, just keep beating people, and Jacksonville keeps losing. And, yeah, it looks like Tampa might end up with a division title, and Jacksonville may not.
What's the AFC South at right now? Can you run through those 3 teams?
They're in the fucking runner's seat.
I think they are in first at the moment, just because they had so many wins. But it's Jacksonville 1. I'm assuming it's Indy 2 to Houston 3. And what are the
Jacksonville,
records?
Indy, and Houston? They all have the same record, but Jacksonville owns the tiebreaker over everybody.
And they play one of those 2 teams. I don't remember which one, but they play one of them.
Jacksonville, no, they don't. They have Carolina and Tennessee as the next 2.
Lucky them. Those lucky little
I
ducks.
don't know about that. Those on the road or at home?
I think Tennessee is at home, and I think Carolina's on the road. I think Carolina's in Charlotte, right?
Carolina is at home. Tennessee is on the road.
Oh.
Well,
Well,
Bryce
they don't be
Young's
careful.
been-
They could lose one of those.
Bryce Young's been on his way towards that third win any day here. And if it happens, it would happen this week against Jacksonville. They're just busted.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
especially
know what
now
else to say.
with Lawrence, they're not sure if he's going to play.
I don't know what else to say. They're
broken.
They're broken.
This is
broken.
the time of the year you don't want to be broken.
And for the sake
Games
of
left.
for the sake of a competitive playoff matchup, I don't even know who the best team is in that out of those three. I just certainly think it's not Jacksonville, but like I can't give it to the Colts.
Houston without Stroud.
Yeah,
forget about
let's
it.
hope. And he's supposed to play this week. Let's just hope
Yeah.
Stroud comes back, wins the 2 games, and maybe they got a shot. Let's hope that's what ends up happening.
Next up,
We
there,
lost
bud.
you.
You have us muted.
the Miami Dolphins hosted the Dallas Cowboys down in South Beach. And it was a tight game all the way up until the end. But Miami comes out on top 22-20. Dak Prescott 20 for 32, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, 108 QBR. Dallas could not run the ball. Tony Pollard 12 for 38. Dak Prescott ran for 25 yards. He also fumbled one. CeeDee Lamb 6 for 118 and a touchdown. Brendan Cooks 2 receptions for 14 yards, but he also had a touchdown. Miami, Tua Tagovailoa 24 for 37, 293 yards and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert 11 for 46. Devon Achane 7 for 24. Tyreek Hill 9 for 99. Durham Smythe 5 for 56. Waddle 50 yards on his lone reception. What do you guys think of now Dallas, who looked like world beaters, but also this was the game that we all needed Miami to prove to us that they were legit. Is everybody set here now on my?
So not entirely, but yeah, I'm very happy with the Dolphins. They weren't pedal to the metal though. That was the problem. But neither was Dallas. So it worked out. This felt like a playoff game where each team was just making mistakes until it got into the fourth quarter. It was a great fourth quarter. I was really excited to see it. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to crown Miami at the moment, but this was a step in the right direction. I certainly feel good about Miami winning the division. We'll see how good they really are this week against the Ravens, but I feel good about Miami as a top 3 seed, and this was that signature win. This was the win that they needed, and I'm happy to see it. What do you think, Uncle Sam?
I didn't have a problem with Miami, what they had game plan, what they had done. I think this game they had this game in control. I don't think at any point in this game that they were in desperate part of losing it. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I thought Dak Prescott was a little erratic. He looked a little off.
He was good in that drive where they came back and took the lead.
Yeah, but the point is right after that, man, he kind of fell off.
Yeah.
He fell off. It's like, man, you miss a series, he comes out, and it's like you forgot how to play football.
There's certainly something off with him on the road.
Is that just me or no?
No, I could see
At
it.
home, the guy's got fucking MVP numbers.
Yeah, I could certainly.
The problem is on the road, you get him on the road and the outside in the elements, dude. You know, everybody talking about Jared Goff. I think Dak Prescott looks worse on the road and
And that
than
was
anybody
the
else
elements.
does.
And that was the elements. It was
Yeah.
raining pretty good there.
I mean,
You know who
the
this is
weather
bad
was
news
decent.
for? You know who a Dallas loss was bad news for? The Lions. Because that's 2 losses in a row now for Dallas. And they're coming home, and I think they're going to be fiending. They're going to be fiending for that big win, and they
Listen,
need it bad.
I kind of get what you're saying, but I see a double-edged sword to that, to be honest with you. This is the time of the year where you actually want to be winning games, and I just think that the playoffs are not really set yet. There's still a lot of placing that needs to go on.
Certainly.
And I think you're going to see probably the best game of the year is coming up next week with that Detroit at Dallas game. I got a feeling this might be one of the best games that anybody's seen all year.
I hope you're right. I have a wedding, so I'll be watching on my phone. Bruce,
Okay.
real quick, Worrelson PS4 wants you to go on the camera.
Who?
Worrelson PS4.
Will.
Shout out to Suey.
Suey.
Oh, that's Suey?
Yeah.
That's Suey.
How is that motherfucker doing?
Why don't you ask him?
Suey, how the fuck are you, Bruce? The people want your thoughts on this game. Any thoughts on Miami and Dallas?
I took Dallas. What a shame. What a shame.
Wow, top-notch commentary there from behind the computer.
Commentary came out. The only thing I cared about this weekend was the Lions, and that is it.
You didn't care about your fantasy team? Because I sure did.
Well, I did. I was freaking out when George Pickens was going off. So, there's that too.
I wasn't worried.
Ooh. Here's the thing. 2 weeks ago, Dak Prescott was an MVP candidate. It doesn't look like that anymore.
So was Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy's still an MVP candidate.
Hold on. If we're doing this, I don't have Brock Purdy in my top 3, but you can't cherry pick bad weeks because every single MVP candidate has had a bad week. All of the three guys that are up for MVP have had bad weeks. So you cannot cherry pick bad weeks.
One guy who didn't have a bad week. That's
I agree.
McCaffrey?
There's
Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is the only one who hasn't had a bad week.
team.
He's had 2 if anything, if we're going to do this right now, if anything, I think this proves my theory completely correct because you just said he hasn't had a bad week. Guess who had a good week this week? Christian McCaffrey. Guess who still lost? The 49ers, meaning Brock Purdy's value to the team is more important.
McCaffrey, they're done, dude. They're done.
I don't know about that
Christian McCaffrey, they're done.
because they had a really good week.
Guy's got 2,000 all-purpose yards.
They had a really good
Nobody even
McCaffrey week.
close to him.
They had a really good McCaffrey week and they lost.
Listen to me. They got asshole punched. Can we move on to this game? Can we go to the fucking 49er game, please?
Do it while he's red. You got to do it.
49er game.
Okay, we're jumping way ahead now. Christmas Day, Monday Night Football. The Ravens headed to San Francisco to play the 49ers. And yeah, the 49ers took a nice asshole punching. Ravens won this one 33-19. Lamar Jackson, 23 for 35, 252 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. He also had 7 rushes for 45 yards on the ground. Gus Edwards, 9 for 31 and a touchdown run. Zay Flowers, 9 for 72 and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely had 56 receiving yards as well. As far as the 49ers go, Brock Purdy, before his injury, 18 for 32, 255 yards, and 4 interceptions. That's a QBR of 42. Christian McCaffrey, 14 for 103 and a touchdown on the ground. He also had 6 receptions for 28 yards through the air. Ronnie Bell had the touchdown reception from Sam Darnold.
Go Blue.
His 1 catch for 12 yards was the touchdown. Deebo Samuel, 4 for 47. Brennan Ayuk, 6 for 113. George Kittle, 7 for 126 yards. Sam Darnold came in relief. He was 8 for 14. He had a touchdown pass and an interception to end the game. And here's the thing. I don't care. Because right now, after watching this game, I've changed my idea. I don't think Miami is going to be in the Super Bowl. I have joined the Baltimore is going to go to the Super Bowl train.
Yeah.
But I am on that train because of, don't get me wrong, Lamar Jackson is an MVP candidate. But Baltimore's defense is everything we thought San Francisco's defense was in the beginning of the year. Baltimore's defense is extremely dominant. And I'm going to say this, all right? Trent Williams not playing in the second half of this game, 1, led to the Purdy injury, and 2, led to a complete fourth quarter fucking shit show. Nobody could stay on their feet. The 49ers were down to two third string fucking offensive. Every active offensive lineman played in this game. All right? At the end of the day, it is what it is. If I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan, I'm not worried about it. I'm not fucking concerned because I'll be honest, it was a perfect storm for the 49ers to lose this game. That was it. McCaffrey couldn't, and realistically, all of McCaffrey's yards, everything that McCaffrey did came in the first half. Because as soon as the offensive linemen started to fall like toy soldiers, he really couldn't do anything either. So I'm not panicked on San Francisco. They need to get healthy. I think the play, and you will see these two teams again. And I don't think you're going to get this same result. But give it to the Ravens. Kudos to them. Yes, everybody's hot on Lamar now, as they should be. I don't think Lamar Jackson's the best player in football. I don't think he's the most valuable player in football. But Baltimore's defense is the closest thing to unbeatable that I think we've seen.
That's an awful take
So
right there.
Lamar is your MVP?
That's an awful take right there.
Terrible.
You don't think he's the best player in the football right now?
No, I do not.
You don't think he's the most valuable player of this team? You don't think he's the most valuable player of the league?
Single-handedly won the game for them on offense.
So you go ahead. Give us your take on the game before you go to Lamar.
My take on the game?
Yeah.
My take on the game is this. You got a guy that got shook early, and he couldn't come out of it. He wasn't accurate. He came out. The passes were either behind him, over him, or in the dirt. He didn't have it. Okay, he threw 4 picks.
Can I translate what you're saying right
Go
now,
ahead.
everyone? The Ravens' fucking defense.
It's very good.
It's incredible, and that's your recipe. Brock Purdy's been money all fucking year.
Did you notice
That's
all
your
those little
recipe.
They took away all those little crossing routes
Yep.
from them.
Took away the crossing routes. You didn't hear a lot of Debo. You didn't hear a lot of Ayuk unless it was downfield. They took away the crossing routes, number one. Number two, they had the fucker scrambling. That Purdy on his ass every other play. And then I don't think the game was over when the game was over well before Trent Williams went down. But when that happened, like that was just it. That was it for their offense because it goes as their line does. And that's where the holes open up for McCaffrey. That's where Purdy's
I
time
think
comes from.
John Harbaugh deserves a lot of fucking credit, dude.
Dude, get out of here with this shit, all right?
Hey,
My God.
Look at it this here. I'm going to give it to you this way. What's the Detroit Lions ranked in offense? 3rd, 4th in the league?
Yeah, I think they're.
And I think
third or
San
fourth.
Francisco's right up there. What, top 3 offensively? And John Harbaugh, his ass punched both of those teams.
And guess what? John Harbaugh lost to the 32nd ranked offense in fucking football in Pittsburgh. All right.
Okay.
So you can sit here and bang this drum all you want.
So
What?
here's the thing.
The
Here's
3
the thing.
losses that the Baltimore Ravens have are against teams that have a top 5 defense.
Just to be clear,
Bullshit. Where Indianapolis' defense is top 5 now?
No, the losses for the Ravens.
Yeah, they lost.
Who did
They lost to
They lost to
Indianapolis.
Pittsburgh
They
The
lost to
Ravens, the
fucking
Steelers.
Indy.
The Ravens, the Steelers. What are
and
the
the
other
Browns.
two?
Didn't they lose to
Or,
the
I mean,
Browns?
that's what I meant.
They
the
lost
Browns.
to the
Browns,
Steelers, they lost to the Browns, and they lost to Indy.
Indy. Yeah.
Okay, well, they went to Indy, right? Got their asshole punched.
At home.
At
At
home. They
home.
got punched.
Here's the problem, Sam. The moral of the story is there was a lot of shit or get off the pot games this weekend. This was one of them. And the Ravens, that in my opinion, that's the biggest statement win of the year, was what the Ravens just did, regardless
By
of the
far.
injuries or anything like that, because the 49ers,
you just don't want to. You don't want to agree with that.
the Niners
I
were the
think
wagon.
he's right.
The Niners were the wagon. They were the most well-balanced team. And like I said, this is why I think the whole Brock Purdy argument favors me. They
No, it
had the
doesn't.
perfect game plan. It does, because that's the
doesn't.
reason they won. They shut the quarterback down. They
He's
completely
not
took
even
the
the best
quarterback.
player on his team.
I mean, the best player on their team played really well, and they still fucking lost.
Yeah.
That's the
Lamar's
that's
not the
point.
best player on the
And
Ravens.
let me
Did
show
anybody
you.
watch and see what I seen or no? Did you watch the game?
Yeah, but you can't.
Yeah, I saw that.
cherry-pick
I saw
one
that
bad
both
game.
of the Ravens
I'm not cherry
linebackers.
picking anything.
You
dude.
are.
I'm not cherry picking anything.
If we're talking
Listen,
about how Brock
he
Purdy's
was off.
bad,
He wasn't on, and he was bad.
but that
They
happens.
lost. Right. Sam Darnold come in and ran that team very well, I thought.
And then threw an interception.
Yeah, he threw a pick. The guy doesn't fucking play. There you go. Cherry pick that.
You
The
can't.
guy's on the fucking bench all year.
You can't cherry. There's a reason he's on the
Whatever,
bench.
dude.
There's
Come
a
on,
reason.
dude. Listen, Brock Purdy is very serviceable. We know that. He is not an MVP candidate. He can't put a team on his back. Everything needs to fucking stop.
You can't.
That shit needs to stop.
You can't.
Even Vegas agrees with me. Look where he's at.
Listen.
Look where he's at.
Listen for 1 second. Every time there's an MVP, it comes down to who plays well at the end of the season. That shit shifts every year. Every time.
Absolutely.
I want to get something on the record right now, though. In May, or was it June? Either way, first week of June. Do you know who my 3 picks for MVP were?
Lamar Jackson.
Who are the top 3 MVP candidates right now at the Vegas odds? Number 1's Lamar Jackson. Number 2 is Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Number 3 is Tua. I had all 3 of those guys as my preseason MVPs.
There you go.
It's going to come down to, does Baltimore win out? Does Miami beat Baltimore in Baltimore this week and get the 1 seed and win their division? Does McCaffrey come back and go for 202 TDs the rest of the way? That's who it's going to be. It's going to be one of those 3 guys. Whoever cruises. Fuck, it could be the Lions if they get the 1 seed. If Jared Goff goes off in the next 3 weeks, that could happen. Anything could happen. Go ahead,
2%
Sam.
chance.
The biggest issue I have with this whole we're gonna crown Lamar Jackson thing is your whole argument for Brock Purdy is that he has anybody could do it, right? Anybody could step in as in the 49ers offense as the quarterback and they could do it, right?
Yes.
So your argument for Lamar, guess
that's
what?
My argument.
Guess what? Guess what? If Joe Flacco put on the Ravens uniform and went back there right now, the Ravens would have the same fucking record
He'd
they
be
do.
balling. Joe Flacco would be balling
Because the
in that
defense
Ravens
is
offense.
that good.
Hey,
If
don't
Jared
bring
Goff,
Flacco into this.
if Jared
Don't-
Goff was in a Ravens uniform, they'd be right where they are. You want to talk about
Same thing with San
Fuck.
Francisco. Why are we having this conversation?
because
Listen, listen to me.
if
The
Brock
guy's
Purdy's
not
not
an
an
MVP
MVP candidate, then,
As much as
if
you
Brock
guys
Purdy's
want
not
him
an
to be,
MVP
it's not going
candidate,
to happen.
then
You
neither
talking
is
about
Lamar
Purdy?
Jackson.
He's 100% an MVP candidate.
He's not.
He's
not.
one. He 100%
Not even the best
is.
player on his team.
So he is.
And I will
because
keep going
Neither
back to
is
that. He is
Lamar.
not the best
You'll
player
keep-
on his
you'll
team.
keep
Because he
losing.
plays fucking quarterback, that gives him a right to the MVP? No.
when he
Can
has
I ask
bad
you a
games,
question?
when he has bad games, they lose. When McCaffrey has bad games, they don't lose because Purdy's there to clean it up. McCaffrey had a great game and they still lost, which means Brock Purdy, even if he's not even the MVP on his own team, it means he is more important to his team than Christian McCaffrey is. It's not even up for debate.
I don't believe
Brock
that
Purdy
whatsoever.
has a bad game.
I don't
they get
believe that
blown out.
whatsoever.
Christian McCaffrey has a bad game.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Take 2,000 yards off that fucking team and see what happens.
Yeah, if you do that to
This
any
is-
team, that would happen.
Come on, man.
You're
What are we
right.
talking about here?
Go ahead, Sam.
You know
You're missing
McCaffrey's
the
best
point here.
player on their
Hold
team.
on. If you look at Lamar Jackson, and this is why you're not going to get me to crown him, okay? If you look at Lamar Jackson game by game, in the games that he lost, he did the exact same thing in the games that they won. Because Baltimore's defense is what wins them the game. Lamar
I
Jackson
don't
does
believe that.
not win them the game. In my opinion, and the reason why Baltimore was so hesitant to re-sign him is because he is replaceable. The MVP is supposed to be irreplaceable. In my opinion, the MVP is either Tyreek, Christian McCaffrey, or Tua, because those guys are irreplaceable.
You can't go to the contract thing. You can't go to the money thing.
Wait, can I
That makes no sense.
can I break the ice
They were
here?
playing fucking hardball.
Can I break the ice here with something really off topic that I want to get
ahead.
off my chest? You know whose name I almost never hear? Chase Young. Just saying.
Chase
Never.
Young.
I'm just saying. I told you it was completely off topic.
What about Chase Young?
I'm just saying we almost never hear his name.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, but he
Listen-
didn't look bad, did he?
Chase Young?
Yeah.
That was the first game since they've traded for him up 2 months ago where I heard his name. That's the
No,
first time
he
I
had
saw him.
sacks
serve.
in the last game. He had 2 sacks in the last game he played.
Uncle Sam, question for you. Put Sam Darnold as QB1 of the Ravens. What's their record?
I don't know. Not
I
as
got
good
news
as it
for you.
is with Lamar.
It's right
Listen,
where they're
Lamar
at
does
right
things
now.
other quarterbacks can't do.
Sam Darnold.
Lamar
Know that
does
as well as I do.
250 yards and 2 touchdowns
Oh,
a
you
week.
need to stop.
Okay?
What are you saying? Lamar Jackson's average? Dude, he's the most athletic quarterback in the
So was
fucking
Cam
league.
Newton. That's great. That works for a year, but it doesn't.
It works
doesn't.
for a year? No, it's been working all fucking year. All year.
So wait, you're discrediting Lamar because you think the Ravens' defense is good? That's your argument?
Without
I
question.
discredit Brock Purdy because the 49ers have the #1 defense.
Listen,
There you go.
PJ's making some good points in the chat. It's going to come down to whoever has the 1 seed. I don't think McCaffrey, even though he should be, I don't think McCaffrey's gonna end up at the top of this, but he should be.
You know what? That's because these people that vote for this shit, I don't know who votes for MVP, league MVP. Is it the coaches?
The writers.
The writers vote for that. There you go. The writers, it's all fake news, bud. Why can't a fucking running back win this award anymore? Why can't a fucking guy like Tariq Hill, with this crazy fucking bad dad, bad Santa, whatever the fuck he is, if he goes for 2,000, he's MVP. Period.
So
nobody's ever fucking done it.
I don't love the argument. It's just a coincidence that Lamar's defense is good, and I'm not saying that that it's the same argument he has with Purdy. Like it's not whoever you plug in there is going to do that. I do think Lamar's playing well. His numbers aren't there like an MVP quarterback's. In fact, I was going to do blind resume. Baker Mayfield has more passing TDs, more yards, and a higher passer rating than Lamar. But if you see what Lamar does, so for example, something else I wanted to talk about was the safety at the beginning of the game. It was the right call. It was fucking bullshit that a ref tripped him and it was grounding in the end zone and it was a safety. Because if there's one quarterback that was going to get out of that situation, it was Lamar Jackson. So I don't know if I'm ready to crown Lamar yet. I think he's 100% worthy of the position that he is right now, of the favorite. But I want to see you manhandle the Dolphins. Good news for the Ravens is same as the Dolphins. I was looking for a signature win. The Ravens got a signature win. Again, that was the best win this year.
On national TV.
On national TV. They're capable of 2 more. If Lamar shows out in the next 2 weeks, it's kind of hard to argue against him as MVP. That's my opinion. But at the same time, that applies to a lot of quarterbacks right now. A lot of quarterbacks can be in that conversation of MVP. Jalen Hurts can come back and win MVP, even though he's had a shit month. Jalen Hurts could ball out for the next 2 weeks against 2 bad teams. The Eagles could end up closing in on the 1 seed, and Jalen Hurts will have the numbers to be worthy of MVP. You know, I'm just saying that it's such a fluid argument, and it's so hard. Like, I think I would give MVP to fucking Myles Garrett over anyone we've talked about. That's just, I mean, it's
why can't
weird.
A defensive guy win MVP?
They can. It happens from time to time, but it's
When's
just.
the last time that's happened?
The whole point is we've been arguing this shit all year. You about McCaffrey, me about Purdy, him about anti-Lamar right now. We've been arguing this shit from day one. It just goes to show you why the criteria is if you're the best player, you're considered the quarterback. If you're on the best team, if you're the best numbers-wise quarterback on the best team, you're the MVP. But the conversation should really be about who's the most impactful player, who's the most irreplaceable player on their team. You're going to say it's McCaffrey? Fuck, I could sit here and make the case it's CJ Stroud. Look what they've done over the last 2 weeks. They win the division when he comes back and plays. Like, why isn't he the MVP? You know, it's such a fluid argument that it's not even worth how blue we are in the face right now. Because I don't give a fuck. I just want to win the Super Bowl. Does anyone have anything to add?
No, I'm right.
You're right about what, Lamar?
You're so wrong, dude.
Right
you're
about
so
fucking
wrong.
McCaffrey, dude.
No,
You're
because
because
He's got
McCaffrey.
400 yards. The next guy to him is fucking 300 yards behind him.
Congrats, they lost.
It doesn't matter.
They lost. McCaffrey can be good every game.
Listen, if they keep winning going forward, the 49ers got 2 games coming up, okay? And this is how my scenario is going to play out for the Detroit Lions to have the 1 seed. You're going to see the fucking San Francisco 49ers get their asshole pummeled from the fucking LA Rams the last game of the fucking year.
Make a tongue
and the
motion
Lions
like this.
will beat Dallas this week, beat Minnesota next week, and slide into the 1 seed. And they will have home field throughout the playoffs and a first-round bye.
You got me all hot and bothered over here talking about sliding in.
How about that? Sliding in. Fisting in.
Sam, what do you have to add before I get off on a tangent again?
Lamar Jackson's not the best player in the league.
Who's your MVP?
right now it's Tyreek Hill with Christian McCaffrey's a very close second.
I'm not arguing either of those guys. I'm not
Lamar
arguing either of those guys.
Lamar Jackson is the most dynamic and athletic guy, but he is replaceable because of what the defense allows him to do. Guess what? When you start when you have 4 turnovers and you start with the ball on your own side every time, it's easy to win a fucking game. I'm not going to crown him. He has 225 yards and 2 touchdowns in every fucking game. The games that they win or the games that they lose. That's all I'm going to say. Brock Purdy had 4 picks this week. The 49ers lost. Who's more impactful to the fucking team?
Ooh, that's my argument. Whatever. Go back to
anybody could go in to the Ravens fucking quarterback room and do what he does when he has that much of an advantage.
I don't agree with that whatsoever.
Well, I know because it doesn't fit your narrative. Where's Jalen Hurts, by the way?
It fit my narrative. Who else you going to put in there? Wait, you think Brock Purdy could go play for the fucking Ravens? You're out of your mind.
Without question. With that offensive line and that defense, it's all the Ravens look like this week in San Francisco on steroids.
Got the best defense in the NFL now?
After last week, without question.
I would say they're hot right now, no?
I mean, that was
that
was 1 and 2. That was defenses 1 and 2 in my opinion, and we're bumping them because of what they just did on the road. I think that matters. I think
Joe Flacco should be MVP.
If Joe Flacco's in a Ravens uniform right now, today, he would be the betting favorite for MVP.
He's burped in your face. All right, go back to finish the Christmas slate, and then we'll do what we got to do.
The Arizona Cardinals went to Chicago to play the Bears. Chicago came out on top in this one, 27-16. Kyler Murray, 24 for 38, 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Conner, 12 for 45. He also had 67 yards and a touchdown reception. Greg Dortch, 2 receptions, 45 yards and a touchdown. As far as the Bears go, Justin Fields, 15 for 27, 170 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He also had 37 yards rushing. Khalil Herbert, 20 for 112 and a touchdown. Justin Fields, 97 yards rushing and a touchdown. Cole Kmet continues his hot streak, 4 for 107. He led the team by 89 yards in receiving. DJ Moore, 3 for 18.
Hurt.
Do we care to talk about this game?
What do we think of Fields? Do we think Fields is the quarterback there next year at this point?
I feel that he should be, but he won't be.
Why do you say that?
Because it's just they got the first overall pick. I think that they're gonna move on. I think that they could get enough back for Fields to justify trading him. Obviously, it's not gonna be what he was drafted at, but they'll get something back for him.
They'll get a first-round pick for Justin Fields?
No.
I don't. It'll probably be a second. I think he's right about that. Maybe a second and a third.
I'd say that's a pretty good deal.
I agree. And they'll move on from him. They'll draft Caleb Williams, and the Bears can't develop people, so they'll fuck him up too. But either way, I think that somebody will be very happy to pay a second-round pick for Justin Fields, and he'll probably go somewhere and be a little bit more successful than he was in Chicago.
So I disagree on the he should be part because the body of work's there at this point. We're 3 years in, and I haven't seen anything crazy spectacular unless it comes against the Lions, of course. But you need to be a passer in this.
You know what system he would flourish in? And I'm not trying to be fucking funny here.
Baltimore, San Francisco.
Yep.
He can't pass though.
Yeah, but
Brock Purdy's an accurate passer.
Guess what, dude? You need to be able to move. That's all. It's all rollouts and
if Justin Fields was in a Ravens uniform, the Ravens would be a 10-win team.
Okay.
I just don't. There's some spots that make sense for him.
Seattle.
Atlanta makes sense for him. I think Atlanta makes sense.
Fit real nice in Atlanta.
But you need
such a dual threat.
You need someone that's ready to really commit to to curating him, which I don't
Yeah.
think. I think this staff has played their way far cry from
Raiders?
October. I thought this staff was dead meat. I think this staff may have coached their way back into it, and Eberfloss can make the excuse of, well, that wasn't my guy. I inherited him from Nagy, and
Right.
I want to go get my own quarterback now and develop him, and get a good offensive coordinator. I mean, Luke Getzey's done a nice job, but I truly believe that Fields is kind of the problem. Good for what he's done over the last couple weeks, but the body of work is
If they
there.
can win out here, they can win out here. He has a strong case to come back. He puts a strong case for him to stay there.
Agreed, but also they pick way too high this year
Yeah.
for Chicago to not at least think about this quarterback
Well,
class.
there's nothing wrong with trading back. Somebody's going to want that fucking first pick.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm Chicago, what I do is trade down, stockpile picks, take the best offensive linemen, defensive linemen they can get, and continue to build their team the way they tried to emulate the Lions with their draft this year, going O-line and D-line with their first 2 picks. And I think if they continue to do that, they'll really build something there.
And they've come on nicely, but I think their defense is what's come on nicely. I think their defense is what's keeping them in the games at the moment. I think they're playing really well. They're the winners of the trade deadline because the Montez Sweat trade looks really good. He's the only big name,
Fucking monster.
the only big name that went at the deadline that's actually playing well is Montez Sweat, and they got him on, in my opinion, is now looking like a deal.
Chase Young.
He leads 2 different teams in sacks right now. He still leads the Commanders in sacks, and he leads the Bears in sacks now, which I think in the modern era that's only happened a handful of times, if at all. Someone has to fact check me on that, but they're winning because of their defense. They're not winning because of Fields. I think some people are emerging. You're going to see how good Fields really is with DJ Moore off the field against, I think they have Packers and Vikings coming up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Who do they have? Who do the Bears play this week? The Bears play the Falcons this week. They have Falcons and Packers, and I think you're going to see how good Fields really is against those teams.
Next up, the New England Patriots headed to Denver to play the Broncos. New England put up 20 in the third quarter as they went on to win after the Broncos made a little bit of a fourth quarter comeback, 26-23. Bailey Zappi, is that the QB of the future for New England? 25 of 33, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zeke Elliott, 12 for 27. Mario Douglas, 5 for 74. Devontae Parker, 4 for 65. Zeke also had 9 receptions for 33 yards and a touchdown. Mike Gesicki also had a touchdown as well in this game. The Patriots also announced today that they're going to put Ramondre Stevenson on IR, ending his season. He was making progress and could come back this week, but it seems like they've decided with the way that their season has gone, it's probably best just to shut him down. Denver, on the other hand, Russ was 25 for 37, 238 yards with 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times, though. 104 QBR. Jaleel McLaughlin, 6 for 37. Javonte Williams, 11 for 24 and a touchdown. Marvin Mims Jr., 3 receptions, 63 yards. Brandon Johnston.
He had a costly fumble.
Mims did have a fumble.
Yeah, he had a costly fumble for them.
Brandon Johnson, 3 for 47, touchdown reception. And then Lucas Kroll, 4 for 28, and had the other touchdown reception for the Broncos. Obviously, this Broncos loss had bigger ramifications than anybody thought, but yeah. What do we think of Bailey Zappi?
That's the reason for the Russell Wilson benching after this loss.
I think this was more about the Broncos. I thought there were some blunders from Peyton towards the end of the game as well. I think this loss says more about the Broncos than it does about Bailey Zappi or the Patriots. It's too little too late, but credit, like I said earlier in the show, credit where it's due on the Patriots defense. I think that it's in a good spot right now for whoever takes it over next year. Who knows what happens? I just think that this says more about the Broncos taking a dump. And Sean Payton had some really bad. The end of the game, he thought the Patriots were just playing for overtime. Did anyone catch that? It felt like he thought the Patriots were playing for overtime, and I think they were. So he was calling the timeouts, and then they had a couple big plays, and that changed everything. And I thought that was on Sean Payton personally. This shouldn't have been a game. It was. I don't think Bailey Zappi's the reason it was a game. I just think things are kind of messed up in Denver. Something I wouldn't have said a month ago because I thought things were really well in Denver a month ago. But I don't know. I still think the Patriots are taking a quarterback next year, Sam. I don't think they're gonna go with Bailey Zappi.
I think that they've got to take a quarterback next year. But the Zappi thing has been cute. Moving on. Next up, the shocker of the week. The Las Vegas Raiders headed into Arrowhead. The place at the Super Bowl, the road to the Super Bowl still leads through. The Raiders beat up on the Chiefs 20-14. And my God, Aiden O'Connell got it done with 62 passing yards, baby. Zamir White, the story from this game, 22 for 145. The Chiefs, on the other hand, Pat Mahomes, 27 for 44, 235 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He also had a fumble. He was 10 for 53 on the ground. Isaiah Pacheco, 11 for 26, a touchdown, and a fumble. He went out injured in this game as well. Rashee Rice, 6 for 57. Am I reading this right? Travis Kelce, 5 receptions, 44 yards. Justin Watson had the other touchdown catch. He was 4 for 38. Is Chiefs Kingdom sounding the alarm yet? Is the road to the Super Bowl becoming less paved?
Take it away.
At this point, I can't believe that this team is falling apart the way they are.
It's gone on for weeks.
And Andy Reid doesn't know where to put his finger in the dike.
It's not their defense. It's still not their defense. It's
offensively, they're bad.
Mahomes got drilled at the beginning of the game, and it kind of changed everything for them. He played scared, and it's already looked like he's been 1 foot out the door. Like he's not checked out. I think Kelsey's checked out, but Mahomes just looks
checked out for personal reasons.
Mahomes just looks broken. And it was very prevalent as the game went on. And if you lose to a quarterback that only passes for 60 yards and they're out there starting running back and the backup running back is lighting you up.
I think that's key, what you just said.
That's bad.
Pacheco not being on the field hurts them immensely.
No, he was talking about the fact that Zamir White had 150 yards.
There's still the Chiefs at home on Christmas. You know, that's what Sam said was what I was going for. Zamir White lit it up in a way that doesn't happen to the Chiefs. They're fucked. They're fucked.
Chiefs are done. Chiefs lose at home in the first round of the playoffs. Both Kelsey brothers retire, and Pat Mahomes finds a way to get Andy Reid fired and bring in some new wide receivers. Because it looks like the Chiefs dynasty is coming to a screeching halt.
No, I think that what you just said was the key. I don't think Andy Reid is the problem or anything like that. I think the key is that they just don't – they need to get him a little bit better protection, number one. And number two, they need pass catchers. His main pass catcher is Kelsey, who just doesn't want to be there. And I think they really need to go after, like, I think T. Higgins would thrive there. I think making a run at Marvin Harrison would be great for them. Like, there's a number of things that they can do and a number of ways that they could reinvent the wheel. But at this point, personally, I just don't see that getting corrected this season. This has gone on for too long. Usually, look at the Lions slide, for example. The Lions slide lasted a month, and they still went 2-2. These guys are sliding against bad teams, and they just can't win shit. They can't win anything, and it starts with their offense. You know, they totally were in that game.
No, I know nobody's brought this up about Kansas City. You know, they lost their tackle is in Washington, Wiley, that they had drafted from Eastern Michigan, and he's not there anymore. And which plugged in, what's his name? The guy who had the 18 false starts in the first game of the year. Juwan Jones or whatever his fucking name was, that guy. You're missing one of the key elements because they let Wiley walk. They didn't want to pay him. So when you start getting into the point where you don't want to pay certain guys like
Tyreek
DeMarcus
Hill.
Robinson, Tariq Hill, go down the fucking list. You don't want to pay these guys. And you think that other positions on the field deserve the more money. This is where the $55 million contract for your fucking quarterback comes in to light your team on fire.
So it's not that they didn't pay. They won the we don't have to pay Tyreek Hill argument. They won that because they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they did. They got a lot of back.
The problem is they still haven't replaced him. He's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
But you bring in some guys that make sense. Like if you couple someone with Rashee Rice, you bring in a free agent and then you draft someone, you revamp that passing attack. Maybe go find a tight end if Kelsey ends up retiring. There's things you could do to retool this.
Yeah.
It's hard to correct what's going on with them in season though.
The Sky Moore thing, that was an utter fail. That was an utter fail.
The only reason they lost this week was because Kadarius Toney didn't play.
Oh God, really, dude? That was the worst thing they did was bring him into that team, dude. You know what they need? Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond to the fucking Chiefs.
He'd look good there.
I love Khalif Raymond.
He'd look
dude.
good everywhere.
He's
so
fast. He runs good routes. If I was Andy Reid, I'd call up Detroit and say, "Hey, what do you want for Khalif Raymond?"
I think Mike Evans dons a
We'll-
Chiefs
we'll-
uniform
We'll
next
give
year.
you
personally.
Travis Kelsey for Khalif Raymond.
you think it's Mike? You think it's Mike Evans? Is that what you think?
I think if you get a big-bodied, perennial, consistent guy like Mike Evans in there to go along with all their little cute little speed burner fucking gadget guys that they have, that's a perfect thing. I
I
think
agree with that.
if I was Mahomes, I'm pushing everything to get Mike Evans in there, and I think he'd finally be happy there.
I
I
got
think.
bad news. He's staying in Tampa, Mike Evans.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think the bridge.
No, he's not going anywhere.
I agree with that. I think he's out of there, dude.
I don't know.
Listen, loyalty to teams doesn't exist anymore.
It does when you're Mike Evans.
It doesn't exist anymore.
He's already stayed
that
through
left
worse.
when Calvin Johnson retired.
Next up, the New York Giants headed to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. The Eagles were sliding, but they got a W here, 33-25. Tommy DeVito started out the game for the Giants, 9 of 16. And then they pulled him for Tyrod Taylor, who came in. It was 7 for 16 for 133 yards. He had a touchdown and a pick. Saquon Barkley, 23 for 80 and a touchdown. Darius Slayton, 3 for 3 on 90 yards and a touchdown for the Giants. As far as the Eagles go, Hurts, 24 for 38, 301 yards, a touchdown, a pick, and a sack. He also had 34 yards rushing and, of course, a rushing touchdown. DeAndre Swift, 20 for 92 and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 6 for 80. Devonta Smith, 4 for 79 and a touchdown. Eagles, this was a pretty good game. It wasn't bad.
It was a step in the right direction if you're the Eagles or if you're an Eagle fan.
Their bounce back after the debacle the last 2 weeks.
It's a
Gauntlet.
it's a step in the right direction, but you got to be yearning for more. When Tyrod came in, I think he started to push them a little more, and I thought their second half was atrocious. But yeah, I mean, hypothetically, you should, if you're an Eagles fan, you should be a little encouraged with some of the stuff that you saw. And they have a cake schedule to correct all of it before the end of the year too. So,
I thought DeAndre Swift has really had a nice year. I will say that.
I might need to
I
vibe
didn't
check
expect
you.
him to be that good.
I might need to vibe check you.
Why?
What do you mean?
A lot of his production has come in like 3 or 4 games. He did have a good game
but
Sunday.
You know what? He's been relatively healthy all year. He hasn't really missed a game. And I thought he's played pretty fucking well this year.
So after that week
Better
3,
than I thought he would.
fair. I won't argue that. He's been better than the reasons he was traded. But after week 3, so he had like 5 or 10 or 15 yards in week 1. Week 2, I think he had 175. In week 3, he had 150. Since week 3, he's averaged 53.5 yards per game and only 3.9 yards per carry. And he's only gone over 4 yards per carry like 2 or 3 times since then. So since that, I think that's part of the problem. And a lot of it's on their offensive line. Because, again, they're a team that's got no idea what they're doing offensively. They seem to play really well when Swift is running the ball well, though.
They've had some guys banged up that they're plugging and playing, too. I think they're better at that than anybody else is. Offensive line-wise, they can plug guys in, and they really don't miss a beat.
It doesn't help that Kelsey's been banged up.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that Lane Johnson's been in and out. That doesn't help. But
comes in, he plays, he misses the entire game, and then, he plays 2 plays and still get that streak going.
Even though it's the Giants, if you're an Eagles fan, you should be slightly encouraged. And you have time, whereas the Chiefs, I don't think their problems can be corrected. I think the Eagles' problems can be corrected.
The Eagles lead the division by a game now. They need to win this next game.
It's the Colts.
And who did they play the last game of the year again?
Giants.
Again.
Yeah.
Watch that last game of the year against the Giants.
It's their problems. Their problems are we're not doing this well. We're not doing this well. A lot of it's self-inflicted and can be corrected. Whereas when you look at the Chiefs,
well, I will say this, and I never thought I would. If you looked at this game and you watched their defense is actually playing better now. That shitbag is there than they did prior to that.
I don't care how good you think Philadelphia's defense is. You just lost a ton of respect from everybody involved for actually admitting that.
He choked away the Seahawks game. He was in cover 1 against the Seahawks, and that's the reason they lost.
If Matt Patricia came down and looked like a defensive Jesus,
the guy that was in there prior to him was dog shit.
You don't give him credit.
Listen to me. I'm telling you right now, there wasn't guys wide open like there was.
He's a tub of shit.
Playing board man.
The problem is
watch the game. Sam.
The problem is it's the Giants.
I don't watch the game.
Like to see.
You gotta watch the game, asshole.
I'd feel really good
watch
if I'm
the
an
game,
Eagles fan.
asshole.
No, you didn't.
I'd feel really good as an Eagles fan if they came out and looked because the Colts were playing well. I mean, that was a bad. He's got a message for you.
Nice finger.
The Colts were playing pretty well. I don't think they look great right now, but this is the reason why their defense has looked like, or not their defense, why their offense has looked like garbage this year is because they lost Shane Steichen. He's coming to town with his Colts this week.
I know that.
So
this is a big game for them.
Yeah, it's a huge game. It's a huge game.
Steichen is going to come in there to put it to Sirianni. He's going to come in there to fist punch Sirianni.
Yeah. So
if I'm an Eagles I think fan, the guys liked Steichen better than Sirianni.
If I'm an Eagles fan,
the team liked him better.
If I'm an Eagles fan, I'd feel really encouraged if you show out nicely against a Colts team that's a good little test for you. I would feel good about that. I think there's one more game left, Sam. We
got one more game. Real quick though, before that, Uncle Sam, I just got a text from American House. Somebody from there was watching this. They wanted to know if you were ready to go to your room there yet, but said there was a little bit of senile going on here. Next up, we had a
do it every time.
Divisional game. Divisional game.
We had a.
He's waiting for him to say it.
I don't know. I'm at America House. I don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, Mitch, I need you to give us the divisional game. Anyways, our very own Detroit Lions.
For you to say divisional game.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Our very own Detroit Lions headed to Minnesota to play the Vikings. And for the first time in 30 years, the Detroit Lions won the AFC North. Lions come out on top in this one, 30-24. Jared Goff threw the ball 40 times. He completed 30 of them. 257 yards and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. He also had 20 receiving yards in this one. David Montgomery, 17 for 55 and a touchdown. He had 14 yards receiving in this game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 12 for 106 and a touchdown. J-Mo, 5 for 43. Sam Laporte, a quiet day, 3 for 18. As far as the Vikings go, Nick Mullins, 22 for 36, 411 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks, 4 sacks. They couldn't run the ball. Ty Chandler did get a touchdown, but he only had 17 yards. Justin Jefferson, 6 for 141 yards and a touchdown. KJ Osborne, 5 for 95 and a tud as well.
He is the Lion Killer.
And I guess that's going to lead us right into Solo's 5 thing.
Thing number one, first, as a champion, I thought that was the offensive line's best game this year. And it started with someone who's been kind of average at best this year. It started with their left tackle, Taylor Decker. Played his best game of the year. You could tell just watching him that he wanted it. You could tell. He's been here since, I think, 2014. He cried on the field after the game. Looked like he was pretty honored to be there. And he got his props in the locker room, and I think that's the reason the Lions locked it in pretty nicely on the ground. And Goff was pretty much upright. He was sacked once or twice, but he was pretty much upright for the game. But it's because Decker was rock solid, because you know the rest of the line's going to deliver. You know the whole rights. If Ragnow plays, you know Ragnow, Glasgow, and Sewell are going to deliver every game. It's just a matter of how good is Taylor Decker going to be, because that helps Jonah Jackson, and they were great. Which leads to thing number two. The run game was chilling hard. The run game looked really good. I mean, we're approaching, there's a chance that both of these guys, Gibbs and Montgomery, can both have 1,000 yards from scrimmage. Not all-purpose yards. 1,000 yards on the ground. They both have, 8 or 9 touchdowns at this point? I mean, there's nothing more that needs to be said about the Lions' run game. It's their best weapon, and when it goes, the team goes. The defense has to do half the work if the run game is going well. Another thing the offensive line does well, thing number 3, Goff was really good when he needed to be on Sunday. He made the throws. Wasn't his best game 100%. He didn't throw any picks, but Goff was pretty accurate when they needed him to be. When they stayed on schedule and the script was going well, they were able to move the ball very fluidly, and he was able to find Khalif Raymond. He was able to find Reynolds. He was obviously able to find J-Mo a couple times. Amon-Ra, what more can you say? Thing number 4, third quarter. It's still a thing. They came out and lost the lead. They didn't get a stop. Now, they rebounded nicely, and they ended up scoring, and they didn't give up many points after that. But I'm still looking for more and still desiring more in the third quarter.
I want to see him take control of the game.
Yeah.
Take control of the clock. Take control of the game.
And
that's what I want to see.
Who takes control of games in the third quarter?
Who does it?
It's a broad statement. Which teams take control of games in the third quarter?
Whoever they're playing against.
The best whoever they're playing against right now. The best teams, the teams that have the most success at the moment, are the teams that are able to step on your neck in the third quarter. And if you want to go back to all of the Super Bowl teams for the last 10 years, we could do this. The Chiefs last year came out in the third quarter, had a monster second half, spurred on by their third quarter.
Nobody did it more than New England.
The Patriots were the king of dominating the third quarter, because if you could dominate the third quarter, you don't have to do nearly as much work in the fourth quarter if you could put the game away in the third quarter. The Rams 2 years ago had a big third quarter that led to that big fucking fourth quarter. It all starts in the third quarter. And the Lions, the way they played in the first half, if they're able to maintain a good lead in the first half, and you're able to come out in the third quarter, get a stop, put some more points on the board, you can distance things with the way your run game plays. I'm not saying take your foot off the gas. I'm saying your running game is that good to where if you're having 6, 7, 8-minute drives,
I just wish they would commit to it more. I don't think they commit to the run enough. And that's my only thing that I can say about the offense and Ben Johnson. I'm not crazy about Ben Johnson because I don't think he plays to their strength enough. That's just my opinion.
I'm with you. So I'm not off on Ben Johnson. I'm high on him. I think he's been really good the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's corrected things nicely since that Bear games. But you said something that's important. I don't think they run the ball enough. I don't think they'd be one-dimensional if they were running the ball too much. I don't think that's a thing because their offensive line is so good and it's so healthy, and therefore I don't think they're running enough play action. I think it goes hand in hand. And what's going to open Goff up?
You got to be successful at running the ball for your play action to be successful. And I think if they did that more and committed to the run more, listen, when you got 2 guys that are averaging over 5 yards per carry,
huge.
There's no reason why you should be fucking going to these little fucking trick plays and reverse it. You listen to me. Line it up, punch him in the mouth, and then all that other shit will fall into place. It'll be easier for you.
And you stay on script.
I think they
too.
overthink it.
You stay on script when that happens.
Correct. That's your identity. The identity of the Detroit Lions is we're going to line it up, we're going to punch you in the mouth and bite your fucking kneecap off. Remember? That's our identity.
They have so many weapons, and they're so impossible to defend on 3rd and shorts because there's a number of things they can do to you. If it's 3rd and 4, are they going to run it? Are they going to find Amon-Ra on a shake route really quickly? Is Laporta going to be open through a double team? Is J-Mo going to be open downfield on play action on 3rd? Like, there's just so many things that you could do on 3rd and short, and it starts with being on script in the run game. If you want to go run, pass, and run a high school offense, I don't give a fuck. If you're getting the yards, if you're going 3 yards and 3 yards, and the next thing you know, it's 3rd and 4, I'm fine with that. There's no reason to go away with it if it's not working. There were very few times where they ran the ball on 1st or 2nd down, and they didn't get more than 2 yards on Sunday. And that's a good defensive front, too.
I seen maybe twice.
It was twice. Twice. That's a really good defensive front that you did that
now,
against.
What does that tell you? You're able to pop off 5 yards per carry against a good front, a decent front. Listen to me. They go into Dallas this week. They need to get their game plan is to line up, and the best way to beat a fucking good pass rushing defense is you run the ball right down their
You run it right at them.
You run it right down their fucking throat.
You do
and
what
you
Denver
don't
did.
stop. And you don't stop till they stop you.
You do what Denver did with Javonte Williams against Myles Garrett, which we talked about on the show. You make Myles Garrett beat you. You want to know how you make him beat you? You run it bad. You run it at him every time. You run it right at him.
Make him work.
You know who he's going to draw this week? He's probably, if Decker's injured right now, Chance Decker doesn't play, but he's probably going to get Sewell. How fucking awesome is it going to be to see Sewell and Micah Parsons go at it on Sunday? That could be incredible.
Yeah, they kind of don't like each other as it is. This could be a hell of a matchup.
Love that. I'm extremely intrigued by that. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to run off tackle on him every time, and they're going to make him beat him. That's how it's going to work. You want Micah Parsons? You want to make plays?
That's the game plan. This is the game plan to beat them. Period.
Thing number 5. We'll make it quick. It was a huge win, but all the emotions are poor. I mean, I cried when that interception happened. I was the person in all the montage videos that were getting posted of people going crazy. Like, I screamed when Melifon would pick that ball off. It was incredible, and I started bawling. Like, I couldn't believe it was happening, even though I thought they were going to win. But thing number 5, all this talk about how they haven't won a division in 30 years, first time since 1993. They had a playoff game at the Silverdome then. Obviously, their last playoff win was 91 at the Silverdome where you were at.
I was there.
Here's the real key. That's the Silverdome. That's Pontiac, Michigan. Great building, a lot of history there, but that's Pontiac, Michigan.
Loudest place ever.
They haven't hosted a playoff game in the city limits, in the city of Detroit, since they won that championship in 1957. Briggs Stadium. That's the last time the Lions played a playoff game in the city of Detroit. That night, whenever it is, if it's 2 weeks from now, or if, God forbid, they get that 1 seed and it's 3 weeks from now, I get the chills just thinking about it. It's going to be extremely special. My one request is, if they get the Saturday night primetime slot, if they're the late game on Saturday night, I think you're going to see this city in a way that you've never seen this city before. I think it's going to be bursting at the seams. I think it's going to be on fire that entire day. The entire day, especially if it's a Saturday. It's going to be on fire that entire day, and I don't give a shit who it is. If it's Philly, I'll feel really good. If Stafford and the Rams want to come in here on Sunday, I'd be a little scared. They're going to come in here on a Saturday night. Get ready for a fucking war and get ready to get your fucking teeth kicked in because the Lions are here.
Right now, there's one focus and one only. They won this game. They're the champions. First time in fucking 30 years. Great. Like it. Don't settle for this because that's dog shit. You fucking come out and lay an egg in this next game. I'm going to have a lot of fucking bones to pick with a lot of people. You fucking stay focused, stay the course.
And here's
stay the
thing.
fucking course.
I'm not as high on them this weekend as you and Sam
I
are.
am.
I know you are.
I am.
I don't think they're gonna lay an egg. I don't, because they laid an egg last year in Dallas. You're gonna be healthier. CJ Gardner-Johnson's probably gonna be back on Saturday.
You know what? Malafontu's the guy. He earned his spot. It's not Tracy Walker's anymore. Nothing against Tracy Walker, but this kid obviously bigger, faster, stronger, and he's making plays.
I just think they find more use. I think you find a way to get all of them on the field at once.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah,
because
because your corners aren't fucking great. Put Melifonte on a guy. Put Tracy Walker on a guy.
As good as Gardner Johnson is as a box safety, and he's great against the run. I think what he's key at is he's great at nickel coverage, which is something they're missing right now.
It's a ball hawk.
Their corner is one of the lows. Again, you saw. I thought it was pass interference, but Justin Jefferson for a quarter and a half was burning the shit out of Cam Sutton. And if you get Gardner Johnson back, like he's good in coverage.
You know what? That's nothing against Cam Sutton. He does it against everybody.
The best receiver in the league. It's the best receiver.
Does it against everybody. You know, for the most part, he got his. The one I was scared for, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, dude, the KJ Osborne thing, I called him the lion killer. That's the guy that fucking worries me. The main guy never worries me. It's always that opposite guy.
Well, you're getting your
number one. That
you're getting your coverage nickel cornerback now.
Correct.
That's the main thing.
That's
that CJ
the guy
Gardner
that will
Johnson's
always burn you is that fucking off guy. It's not the main guy. It's the off guy.
So here's the deal. We're going to go back on Friday. We're going to pick the games. We're going to do playoff machine, but we're going to get to the big college football Monday's matchups. Obviously, Michigan arrived in L.A. yesterday. He's gone.
Oh.
He evaporated into dust.
Anyway.
We got Michigan and Alabama on Monday. It's the early game. The Sugar Bowl is going to be Washington, Uncle Sam's Washington Huskies, and Michael Penix versus the Texas Longhorns.
Right.
Live
Michael
from
Penix,
the Superdome.
baby. Should have won the Heisman.
We're going to do some in-depth stuff on both of those two games. We're going to pick them. We're going to do playoff machine. And I mean, the playoff machines are more worthwhile right now because we're down to 2 weeks left, so the picture's more clear. And even if we're picking the games wrong, like you'll have a good idea about what's going on. Playoff machine's not broken, by the way. But enjoy your Wednesday. Enjoy your Thursday. Yeah. Enjoy everything.
Be back here Friday.
We'll see you Friday before the year ends.
Games here. Talk a little bit about this game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wait, we already did. We already talked about it tomorrow night, didn't
we? No. We'll talk.
Oh, yeah,
afterwards.
We'll recap. We'll recap Thursday. But
recap that
the
game.
The gist is Friday is going to be loaded. We'll try and pick the pro games as quick as we can, but then we'll go from there. And we're going to have a lot of fun together
follow
Friday.
Tipballs.com fucking.
On X, at Tipballs. Ring the bell on YouTube, at Tipballs.
Ring the bell on the balls.
Instagram, at Tipballs. Bruce's balls, at Tipped Balls. We'll see. I don't know if she's touching his balls.
In Florida.
Podcast on Instagram.
Balls.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Yeah.
You know where to find us.
That's it.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, hopefully. Hey, where's our chat at? I don't see anybody in the chat.
Oh, because he had Sam up. That's why the chat's been popping off all day.
Can you pull the chat up real quick?
I'd like to answer.
I want to answer one question out of the chat. One. Somebody give me a fucking question.
Sam logged into our YouTube and said,
do you want to answer Leon's comment from 15 minutes ago?
What is it?
It says, Uncle Sam is washed, need to retire.
Who said that?
Leon, President Baker.
Let me tell you something, Leon. I know more about football than you'll ever know. Ever. Ever. You could even play in the NFL and I'd still know more than you.
Thanks for tuning into this edition of the Tip Balls Podcast. We will see you on Friday. Remember to ring the bell on YouTube, subscribe on X, formerly known as Twitter, subscribe on Instagram at Tip Balls. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to stay tuned to our Instagram for all the latest and greatest breaking news and updates, and we will see you on Friday for one of our biggest shows of the year. We saved it for last. Have a good Wednesday. God bless.